Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another edition of MSATP TV. Joining us today is Rob Smith, and we are coming from Ocean City, Maryland, home of the convention next week, and the weather is just gorgeous. So if you haven't registered for classes and plan on coming down, please jump on the phone and register for your classes. We're going to have a hoot and a holler down here in Ocean City, and we'll be getting ready for the rodeo the following week. So there's all kinds of things going on down here. So please join us next week. But this week we have Rob Smith talking to us more about um, Microsoft 3 that. And Rob, you want to take it away?
Yeah, sure. And about the convention. Hopefully, this convention you coming up is not quite as exciting as the previous one last fall, because that almost had that one had almost a little bit too much excitement. And
yes, it did.
Yeah, with all of the flood and that was that'll be one that people will not forget in a long time.
That's exactly right. We got to go swimming in the garage.
That is exactly right. And unfortunately, some cars did too, and that was not that was nothing to laugh about. But anyway, yeah, go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and get started. But today, we are talking about this idea that we're actually drowning in information, but starved for knowledge, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. So once again,
are we starved for knowledge or starved for information?
Well, let me explain that in just a second. Well, once again, my name is Rob Smith. I'm working at Liscio, and we're basically a program that helps you get all the information from your client very easily, very securely into one location, and kind of help corral that information chaos. Because here at Liscio, people, we're talking about constantly document management. But at Liscio, we're actually more concerned about the information. And hopefully this presentation will explain why you should be focused on information and not documents. Okay. So kind of jumping into it, there's this quote: "We are drowning in information, but we're starved for knowledge." And this is a quote actually 40 years ago. John Naisbitt wrote a book called Megatrends, and he had this quote in there. So you would think that this quote was from recent, but 40 years ago, John knew what was coming. We're drowning information, but starved for knowledge. Now, what does that mean? Okay. As accountants, we're affected by either both of these, or one or the other, or probably both. Okay. So when it means by we are drowning information, think about all the information chaos in your life. Think about any topic, Bill. Where is all that information scattered?
Well, hopefully it's not in file cabinets any longer.
Well, it's not in file cabinets.
It's saved on our computer.
Yes, it's saved on our computer. But you know what? Honestly, think about it. I almost wish it was in file cabinets, because I knew where it was.
Right.
I could go to the Red Weld, and all the information for that client was in the Red Weld, right?
Right.
One place. Now, unfortunately, you had to be in the proximity of the Red Weld, but you knew where it was. So it actually wasn't that chaotic back then, because it was all in one place, right? But now, where's that same information? It's in emails. It's in multiple documents. It's scattered somewhere across the Ethernet. It's in this location. It's in that location. It's in this log. You got to log into this program. It's in 13,000 different places, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I never thought of it that way.
Yeah. So, and then if you think about it, because there's so much stuff scattered everywhere, are you able to tell, like, maybe how would you delegate that to somebody and tell everybody where everything's at?
I have no idea. Because you almost need a flow chart on everybody's desk so that they know where to go.
Exactly. It's crazy that we have so many different places to look, because we've stored information in 30 different places. And half the time we can't even get to the information because it's stuck in your inbox, not mine.
We're stuck on your hard drive, not mine.
Exactly right. So we're all drowning because there's information overload. There's information chaos. It's crazy. So just managing all that information is really tough and draining. Now, some of you are good at it. Me personally, I'm not. But the part where I'm talking about starve for knowledge, and what I mean by this is because all of that information is scattered in multiple places, it's kind of like a puzzle that's not put together. If you just take all the puzzle pieces and dump it on a table, you have no clue what the puzzle is, do you?
No.
You have to put it together to see what it is. And
Right.
try putting it together without the box even.
Right. Makes it hard. You don't have a picture of what you're trying to accomplish.
Exactly. But what if all of those pieces were in one place put together already? Could you delegate that, and could your staff see what's basically there?
Yes.
So 9 times out of 10, when I've ever tried to scale my business, whenever I've tried to grow my business, I haven't been able to because my staff, it would take me longer to train my staff than just to do it myself. So what do? I just do it myself. So while I'm buried in work, while I'm overwhelmed, my staff is sitting there not being able to be productive because they don't have the pieces of information that they need organized in a manner that they can understand. And that's what I mean by knowledge. Pieces of information that have been consolidated and organized that's understandable by somebody else, that's knowledge. Okay. So let's talk about this a little bit further. Okay.
All right.
And here's the thing that I want to think about. You're going to be sitting there doing the same thing over and over again. And you think that you're going to be able to find the next thing that's going to be able to help you with document management, right?
Right.
Well, I'm here to tell you, this quote's from 82, 40 years ago, 4 decades. We've been struggling with this problem for 40 years. And I want you to think of how, some of you may not be 40 years old, but for the rest of us, I want you to think this is how long ago 40 years was. Okay. First of all, 1982 is the same year as E.T. coming out. David Letterman's first show. AT&T broken up into baby bells. The Tylenol capsule scare. Vietnam Veterans Memorial is dedicated. Epcot was opened, and John Cougar Mellencamp was telling us to hold on to 16 for as long as we can. This is how long we've been fighting and struggling with this problem.
That's my entire working career. I graduated from college in 82.
There you go. So you've been struggling with this problem have you solved it yet?
Not yet.
So why are we doing the same thing? So let's try to take this and maybe look at it from a different angle and see if we can solve the problem. So if you haven't solved it yet, you're not going to solve it. Okay. So what's the root problem? The root problem is information chaos. Okay. So the cause of information chaos is that you're focused on document management, not information. You've been focusing on managing documents and not trying to manage information.
Okay.
Okay. You're trying to outrun it, but you can't. And ultimately what you need to do is you need to convert that chaos into knowledge so your staff isn't starving.
So would that be the effect of instead of saving things in PDF files unless they're searchable PDFs, but do something where you can read the document through the computer and do keyword searches on it?
Well, even searching, even the fact that you can search and find things, if there's 14 different pieces in 14 different places, the fact that you can find them, you have to make 14 searches to find all the pieces, and then you still have to put it together. So searching, that's trying to search and find pieces of information buried in 14 different places. That's trying to do managed documents. That's document management that doesn't work. Okay, because you still have 14 different pieces, and you may not know where to search for. Right? So that's not going to work. That's what you mean by you're trying to manage documents instead of managing information. Okay, so let's actually come through and focus on, let's go in there and kind of redefine some things here for you. Okay. So information to me, pure information to me, is something that you learn, you immediately use, and never need it again. Okay. It's kind of like your computer RAM. Okay.
All right.
Example would be, hey, call Frank. So I call him back. I get a website login text code. I do that, and then I use it. That's information. I get it. I use it. I never needed it again. Pure information. Okay. Pure knowledge. Pure knowledge is something that I learn, I save, and I save it in such a way that anybody at any time knows where it's at and can access it.
Okay.
They don't need to search for it. They don't need where it is. They just have access to it. That is pure knowledge. So those are the two ends of the extreme. Pure information, use it, never need it again. Pure knowledge. Something that you learn, You're saving it in such a way that anybody, anytime, anywhere can access it.
So this would kind of be like our office building, and now we need to put file cabinets in there so that we can put the information in those file cabinets on all the different floors so that people can have access to it.
That's exactly right. And it's organized in such a way that they know exactly where it's at. Okay. So, and the type of information that you need to know, client historical information and workflows that are reviewable. Okay. So let's take a look. Let's look at an example. So pure information, pure knowledge. Everything else in the middle is chaos. And 99% of what you're doing is, chaos. And that's why you're drowning in information. Okay. So here's an example. Stoplight. You see it? It turns red, you stop. It turns green, you go. You never need to know that at 12 o'clock, the stoplight was red, right? That's pure information. Okay. So now over here, I tell my daughter to change a flat tire. Okay. If I teach her how to do it and she changes it, that's information, right? Pure information.
Okay.
But will she, but it's not pure information, because will she need to possibly do this in the future?
Probably.
Yes. So it's chaos. Okay. I taught her, but it's chaos. It's in her head. Okay. She's going to remember how to do this 3 years from now. No, she's not.
Right.
What if she videotaped it?
Probably wouldn't help her because she wouldn't know where the videotape is 3 years.
That's exactly right. So, well, she may know it's on her phone, but she's got to sit there and find it from 3 years ago, right?
Right.
And only my daughter, who has that phone, has access to it.
Right.
So we're closer to pure knowledge, but not there. A video is better than memory, right? So we're taking a step down the path. What if we took that video and threw it up to YouTube?
Now we can search for it.
Now we can search for it, but if you don't know to search for it and you don't know where to search or what to search, see, now that's kind of where we're at now. You can search for it, but you may not know what to search for and you may not even know it's there. So we're getting close to pure knowledge, but we're not there yet. What if I took a QR code and taped it to the tire and the QR code linked to the video in YouTube?
Now we're closer.
We're there, I think, because think about it. Anybody who has a phone, which nowadays is everybody, will see that QR code, right? They can pull their phone out, hold it up to the QR code. It's going to link right to that YouTube video. So no matter who, whether it's my son, my daughter, or anybody else, they're going to be able to sit there and get access to me teaching them how to change their spare tire. That's what I mean by pure knowledge. Okay. And that's our goal. That's what we're trying to accomplish. Okay. So
we're trying to change pure info to pure knowledge.
Well, no, pure info we learn and never need again.
Okay.
Okay. We're trying to convert chaos into pure knowledge.
Okay.
Because pure information, we learn it, never need it again. Like the stoplight. We're never going to need to know about the stoplight, right? Or the text code.
Right.
But all the other stuff, if I teach you something, we're going to need to save that so the next staff member will know how to do it.
Right.
If I have information about a client, are we going to be able to save that in a place that everybody knows where it's at? Okay. So how are we going to go about doing that? Okay. Well, what did we used to do? Okay. Before computers, okay, we had all these things to deal with. What do? We kept them in a collection basket. So we'd take all these documents, throw them in our collection basket. And then we'd get phone calls. We'd have conversations, and we'd have stuff that's in our head. What did we do with that information?
Hopefully, we wrote it down on notes.
That's exactly right. Or the green sheet of paper, right?
Sticky notes. Right.
That's exactly right. So we would write it down on sticky notes and green sheets of paper, right? And then what did we do with it? We'd throw it in a collection. So we'd take all that information, put it on the sticky notes and the pieces of paper, and then we'd throw all of that in the collection basket. So at least we knew where all the information was. It was right there in the basket, right?
Right.
Not in 30 different places. That actually wasn't that disorganized. I kind of miss those days, right? I kind of do. But what else did we have? We had the red weld with our work papers in there, right?
Right.
So what we would do is we would go into the collection basket, and some of the stuff was garbage. Some of the stuff we didn't need. So what do we do with that? We would throw that and recycle that away, right?
Right.
Then there's other stuff that we needed. So where do we keep that? Well, what we do is we'd go to the file room and we'd file it in the file room. And it would go in with the red weld, right?
Right.
So,
and as long as you were in the office, you had access to it.
That's exactly right. This really wasn't that disorganized. It was easy. All the information was right there. Okay. Now, if we could go back, if we could recreate, the problem is we can't recreate this because everybody, you said you're calling from Ocean City. I'm calling from Peoria. We can't have that red weld in two places.
Right.
That's why we went to documents, and that's when it all broke down. This was organized. Okay. So what do we then do? We would then go in there. We would take the information that we needed out of the red weld. We'd work on it. We maybe add some other information. Okay. We would file the stuff that we needed in the file folders and put it in the work papers. And then any other scraps of paper we did, we'd throw away. Life was simple. We knew where everything was. It was really, the hardest part was you had a hole punch, the 2-hole punch, and pull that stuff out. Sometimes you'd cut yourself on that little thing, right?
Yep.
But that was the worst of it. Okay. This actually wasn't bad because it was simple. You knew where everything was. Okay. So how can we basically get to that? We've got pure information. We've got chaos. If you could gather all that stuff into one place, okay, which I'm calling an information bucket, then you go through and you organize that information, and then we can get to pure knowledge. Okay. But before that, we talked about documents. Okay. I hate documents. Documents, and especially PDFs, are 4-letter words. And seriously, think about it. PDFs. Seriously, literally and figuratively, it's a 4-letter word.
Right.
Okay. But here's the thing. Think about an email that somebody sends you. What do you really need?
The attachments most of the time.
The attachment, or maybe some information buried in the message, right?
Right.
Do you actually need the email, or do you need the information in the email?
The information, not the email.
You don't need the email? You need the amount of the property tax, don't you?
Right.
Yeah. So you don't need to keep, so when you say, I got to get that email, let's think about this. Amazon sends you a box. First of all, I don't like Amazon. I shop local. But anyway, Amazon's talking in the background. Amazon's always listening. But when you get a box delivered to you and it's some widget, do you keep it in the box, or do you take it out of the box and put it away and store it where you know you're going to use it?
Hopefully you take it out of the box and you store it away.
Yeah. So when information comes to you via an email, why are you leaving that information in an email that's buried on somebody's inbox that nobody else has access to?
That's like leaving it in the box.
That's exactly right. Okay. So no, you don't want the email. You want the information that the email contains. That's the difference between information and documents. And if you start to look at emails as basically just a delivery method, and you start looking at what the email contains as that's the pure gold, that's the information, is the stuff that's valuable. And you start separating those, now you're on the path to success. Okay. Let's look at a PDF. Okay. Do you really need the PDF? Or do you need the information that the PDF contains? Like, for example, the image of the 1099 div. Do you really need the PDF, or do you just need the picture of that 1099 div?
Aren't they the same?
No, it's not. Because the image, what if the image, let's say it's a small PDF, do you need a PDF comes in an 8.5 by 11 box?
Okay.
Do you need 8.5 by 11 for a small piece of information that's buried on that PDF?
Probably not then.
No. So you don't really.
Then we're saving blank space.
Exactly right. You don't need the PDF. You just need what the PDF contains.
Okay.
And if you start to separate,
so how do we get it from the PDF to some manageable?
Well, that's where that's where we'll kind of show you what to do. But right now, I want you thinking. Right now, I really want you to focus on. We'll kind of get to the how, but I really want you to focus on. It's not the PDF you need. It's the information that the PDF contains.
Okay.
Okay. That's the paradigm shift that I want you to start thinking about. You don't need the PDF. You need the information that the PDF contains.
Okay.
So think about this. So right now, you get a PDF. It's like a box. A PDF to me is like a box, an 8.5 by 11 box, standard size. Okay. And what you do, you have to open that box to see the information, and then you close it.
Right.
Okay. You open the box and then you close it. And then you open it again to look at it again, and then you close it. And then maybe you have to open it again and look at it. Now I give it to you, Bill. What do you have to do? You have to open it and then close it.
Right.
And you spend all, you know how many, this is what we pretty much do all day. We keep opening PDFs and closing them, opening PDFs and close them. Right.
All right.
Okay. But it's just, information is just not in PDFs. We have information in PDFs. We have information in computer programs. We have information in our head, and we have information maybe in books, or, like the tax book of, on like a physical copy. Right.
Right.
So right now, for you to see all 4 of those pieces of information that relate to one topic, what do you have to do? You have to open up the PDF and then close it, and then maybe go look at the computer screen,
right,
and close it. And then maybe in your head, you have to like note something and either tell somebody how to do it, or just know about it, right? And then you have to go find the book and take information from there. So basically, you just spent how much time did it sit there and to access all these 4 pieces of information that all relate to the same topic?
Right.
Okay. That's what you do all day
long. A
long.
lot of time.
This is why you're managing documents. This is why you're drowning. This is why your staff doesn't know where all that stuff is, so they can't duplicate it. That's why they're starving and you're drowning. Okay. So what's the answer? Well, what if we broke the information and separated it from the document, the box from it? Okay. So what if we went in and we opened up that PDF and we took a screen clipping of that PDF and threw it on a big sheet of paper?
Okay.
So we virtually, so back in the day, what do? We would like have it printed out, and then we'd kind of tape it on a sheet of paper, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then we went in, and then maybe we looked up some information. Okay. Whether on a computer screen or somewhere else, about maybe the percentages of the US government interest. Okay. Well, how am I going to collect that information? Well, what if I took a screen clipping of the screen and put it right, and then kind of virtually printed it out and taped it right next to the 1099 div?
Mm-hmm.
Now, what if I went in there and now in my head, because I know how to enter it, but my staff doesn't, because it's in a weird box, it's in a weird screen. Right. What if I went in there and I kind of wrote down or took a screen clipping or took a picture of how to enter it and tape that right next to that piece of information? And then lastly, what if I took a picture of some other information and added that right there and put it all on one sheet of paper? So I took information from 4 different places, virtually printed them out, basically did a screen clipping of them, and put them in one place.
Okay.
So what would be easier to follow? The thing on the left, or if all the information was on the right in those 4 different places?
Well, obviously the thing on the left is far easier to follow.
Yeah.
And after a while, you wouldn't need to instruct your staff, so you would reduce the amount of screen clippings that you would be doing in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And only when you have something that would be unusual would you need a screen clipping so that somebody could follow your thought process.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. On the right side here, we're managing documents. We're managing information chaos. On the left, I went in there and I removed all the information from the different places, and I just did a simple screen clipping and put it onto one place.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I did. On the left, we're managing information. On the right, you're managing documents, apps, information chaos, virtual disaggregation.
Some of it's in our head, which could never be transmitted to the computer.
That's exactly right. So the stuff on the right here, this is what we've been doing for 40 years, the thing on the right. What I'm suggesting to you today is to stop trying to manage documents. Stop trying to create another app that's going to hold all the information. Stop trying to outrun that, because for 40 years, it hasn't worked. And if you start managing information, which is on the left-hand side here, the left-hand side is managing information. The right is managing documents. And I'll tell you one thing. When I was managing documents, I was drowning. When I started focusing on information, that's when I became organized. That's when I started to delegate. That's when everything changed. Okay. So, but here's the thing though. We can't bring everything to the sheet of paper. Okay. So let's say there's a website that there's information that I've got to go to.
All right.
Okay. I can't bring information from my CRM in. I can't bring information from QuickBooks. If I have to get to a place in QuickBooks, like a report in QuickBooks, I can't bring that into this one right here. But what can I do? I can put hyperlinks to where I need to go. So I can put a hyperlink saying, hey, I can't bring the information here, but I'm going to tell you exactly where it's at by hyperlinking to the exact spot where it's at.
Okay.
Now we've brought everything in. Basically, we've created our own personal internet.
Well, let me ask you a question. When you create a hyperlink like that, does the address for that information ever change?
Sometimes it might, but if you do, you just redo it. But 99 times out of 100, it doesn't.
Okay.
Yeah. So to kind of seeing that, because here's the thing, because at the end of the day, information does not come in one size. Information does not come in always 8.5 by 11 sizes.
Right.
So instead of storing all your information, I mean, if you were packing, when you pack your house up, do you just get one size box and put everything in one size box?
No,
you don't do that, do you?
No.
Now, what if you just had one box? One box wouldn't necessarily work, right? Because then everything would be but one box would be better than 9 separate boxes, because at least you only have one place to look, right?
Right.
But what if you could take a box and then customize it and put in the exact kind of departments that you would need?
Okay.
Which box would you rather pack in? One,
I think I'd rather
three.
pack in that customizable one.
That's exactly right.
Because
everything's
at least
in one
those
spot.
Compartments, I know where to go to find it.
Pardon?
At least once I get to the compartments, I know where to go to find them.
That's exactly right. You have a place for everything.
Yep.
And that's ultimately basically what we're going to basically do. Okay. So, and kind of like, how do we do this? Okay. There are some different ways to basically do this, but the theory here that I really want you to break down, okay, is that documents and programs contain information. You need to consolidate that information and put it into one place, so that way everybody can see the big picture. You don't have to keep looking for different pieces that are scattered. You're going to be able to, it's going to be easier to delegate. It's going to be easier to review. Everybody knows where it's at. And instead of trying to manage documents, if you convert information into knowledge, that is how you're going to take the next leap. That is how you're going to scale. And until you actually start focusing on information, instead of trying to outrun documents, you're never going to win. Guaranteed, because for 40 years, it hasn't happened. And there's never going to be another app or anything like that that's going to basically do it until you start converting information chaos into knowledge and stop focusing on documents and apps. And then in upcoming weeks, we can kind of show you how to start doing this a little bit. And guess what? And guess what? One of the answers is.
And does Microsoft 365 help us to do this?
Absolutely, absolutely. Because one of the things that we're going to do is, remember we started talking about OneNote. We're going to kind of swing back around to OneNote, and then we're going to show you how you can create a customized box just like this.
Okay.
And be able to start to create own virtual forms on how you can actually create customized places for your information, whether it's a customer, a process, or a workflow.
All right.
And when you start to do that and create your own customized boxes to hold all the information for the exact way you need it, That is how you're going to be able to consolidate chaos or eliminate chaos and convert information into knowledge.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yep, and that's what we're going to be doing in upcoming weeks. Okay.
Okay.
Well, it looks like we're up on 30 minutes, but hopefully, hopefully today's a big left. This is a completely new way of thinking. But for 40 years, we've failed. So maybe it's time to try something different. And
right, exactly.
And to me, this works for me.
Right. I think it's awesome an idea.
Yep. So, yep, I think there we go. So, but that is the thing that I want you to do. Start focusing on information and stop looking at documents.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, Rob, once again, I appreciate the time that you've given us. And I hope our members get something out of this. And I know I have. It's just given me a different way of looking at it. And I agree with you 100%. 40 years, it hasn't worked. Let's try something different.
Let's do it. 2022 is the year to do it.
Yep. Sounds good.
Until next time. Bye.
Yep. Bye.